Hi, I'm Chike Coleman. That's Chuck Koplinski. This is Real Reviews, the Cinematic Underground, the show where we talk about movies and sometimes other stuff. This week, there are 4 movies to talk about. We're really spoiling you this week. We've got Happy Death Day. We've got the wonderful Thor Ragnarok. We've got the interesting but pointless Jigsaw. And finally, we have Thank You for Your Service. I'm probably not going to go in that order, though. The first movie I want to talk about today is one we both saw and we were deeply moved by, and that is Thank You for Your Service. It stars Miles Teller. I can't tell you the director's name out of the top of my head, though, unfortunately. And we also have Keisha
Castle-Hughes,
who I haven't seen since she had that Oscar-nominated turn in Whale Rider. Was that right? Mm-hmm. Those are the only 2 names I was able to recognize. The other ones I was not. But the story centers around a battalion of men who are in Iraq, and an incident occurs, and then they have to go home. And what they go home to is Veteran Affairs, basically. No offense to Veteran Affairs, I'm sure they do all that they can, but giving them the runaround effectively, and how they deal with that, and how their PTSD manifests itself in many different ways. The story is very moving because it's about camaraderie between brothers, but it's also about the pain of not being able to share what you experienced without it having lasting damaging effects. And it's just a very powerful film about what Veteran Affairs and what our government needs to do to actually support our troops. Because all we're ever actually able to say is thank you for your service. And this movie indicates we need to do more, and I think we need to do more. Chuck, what did you think of Thank You for Your Service?
A really well done film. Teller seems to be pushing himself here, the last couple of movies he's made, especially here, and Only the Brave, the firefighter movie, dealing with the group of firefighters from Arizona who were basically wiped out. And he's the linchpin here of this film. He's very moving. You can see him pushing himself. Haley Bennett as his wife is also quite good, English actress, who I've seen in a couple other films, including Denzel Washington's Magnificent Seven, as his wife. She's very good as well. The frustration that she has, the willingness to work with her husband, yet not being able to help him because basically he can't help himself. All very moving stuff. I thought the movie ended a bit too abruptly, and the ending was a bit too pat for all the issues that they were dealing with. But overall, a very, very strong effort, and unfortunately it's not getting the press or the attendance that it deserves.
I completely agree. I think the one scene that stands with me is the one scene that would sit with everybody is what happens at the bank.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That just heartbreaking, and you knew from the buildup of everything before that was coming, and you just didn't want it to happen. I love it when films make me emotionally invest in that way, to the point where you're watching it happen, and you're knowing that it's coming, and you're like, no, I like this kid or this person, I don't want this to happen, and it does anyway. But it definitely shines a light on how much our veterans need our support in different ways, and ways we can maybe even do that in some ways during the interviews I've seen with Teller and the director. Mm-hmm. The next film I want to talk about is one of the 2 Halloween movies that has come out in the last few weeks, and that is Happy Death Day. The movie Happy Death Day revolves around a woman named Tree who, for reasons you'll come to learn later, recently, or not so recently, lost her mother. Mm-hmm. And on her birthday, she goes through the motions of dealing with her sorority. She goes through the motions of having what she believed was a one-night stand, and just goes about her day, only to later be confronted and attacked by a mysterious figure and killed. But then she wakes up, and the day starts over again on her birthday. So what we have here is a Groundhog Day scenario where Tree, the main character, is trying to figure out who's killing her and why. And there are some elements of this film that totally, completely work, because you're seeing a trope that has not been used since the original Groundhog Day, and the character.
Not true. Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow. Okay, yeah, you're right. Edge of Tomorrow was another one that used that trope effectively well, but this one works for one simple reason. You have a character that's not likable that kind of becomes likable, and I would say that she is up there for starting to earn her Scream Queen stripes. I felt like I wanted to see this character again. I wanted to see her interact in this world and the society that she lives in, because she does have some really great vulnerable moments, not only with her father, but with the guy that she wakes up to every morning, pun intended. But I felt like it was a decent horror movie, and even though it relied heavily on jump scares, the characters were so general normal that it felt like a very decent horror film, which is something we haven't had in a while. Chuck, what did you think of Happy Death Day?
Much more clever than I thought it would be. As you say, this recurring day thing has been done, and I'm sure that's a challenge to screenwriters and directors who attempt this, because keeping it fresh when you get into this repetition, keeping things moving along, I bet it's a challenging but also a fun exercise to do. And it keeps us interested throughout. The running time is, I think, just over 90 minutes, which helps as well.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't cheat too much. I mean, time travel movies and movies such as this, they set up their own rules. And sometimes you catch these movies cheating a little bit or fudging things after they set the rules up. But that doesn't happen here. I'd like to see more of her. I'd like to see more of the director, see what they do with other, maybe better, more ambitious scripts as well.
I agree. Did you like the twist at the end?
Yeah, I did.
I actually didn't see it coming.
Neither did I.
At all. And I was like...
That's why I liked it.
Okay, director, you got me on that one, because I had been leaning toward the one thing you showed me, but
yeah,
it was another hand moving all along.
Nice bait and switch there.
Beautiful bait and switch. And so I really loved that movie. The other movie that we both saw was Thor Ragnarok. This is... I don't know how to say the director's name. Do you? Taiki
Waititi.
Taiki Waititi?
Mm-hmm.
Taiki Waititi directed Thor Ragnarok, the third in the Thor films, starring Chris Hemsworth, Cate Blanchett, Idris Elba. We have also, let's see, who else am I forgetting? Anthony Hopkins, of course. Tom Hiddleston as well. And we have Tessa Thompson becoming a new hero in this. Forgetting his... Oh, we have Mark Ruffalo, of course, as well. And the plot is pretty simple. You've got Thor, who's trapped in a dungeon that looks very hellish, and he is trying to fight what looks like the devil, but he's not... Is he really the devil? I never really understood that.
It's an Asgardian devil.
Asgardian devil, and Thor has to stop him from destroying Asgard. So he does that, and gets out of that hellmouth, and returns to Asgard a champion as usual, but he realizes when he gets out that, oh crud, Odin is gone, so I've got to go on a search for my father, because Loki, as we know from Thor Dark World, spoiler alert, impersonated Thor's father Odin. So there's a brief journey with that, and then the story kicks off because, of course, Thor gets captured and is in these gladiatorial games led by a guy named Jeff Goldblum, who's basically just Jeff Goldblum. I'm not even going to bother using the character's name because it's Jeff Goldblum, and he's Jeff Goldblum in this. And Thor is set up to fight the great gladiator, the greatest of them all, which turns out to be Hulk. And together the two have to escape this gladiator world and stop Asgard from being destroyed by Hela, is her name, played by Cate Blanchett, who is the long-lost daughter of Odin when he was a badass ruler who took no prisoners and instead became a benevolent god later on. And that's Thor's mission, basically, with the help of his brother, Tessa Thompson's character, who is a Valkyrie fighter, and other friends Thor meets along the way. I like this film a lot. The humor works for me. It's dumb humor, but it's humor that it's your humor that just kind of sneaks up on you and makes you crack up. I really like that. Chris Hemsworth gives what I think is arguably his best performance as Thor in this film, where he both doesn't take himself too seriously and makes sure that the character doesn't either. And I think that's the major strength of this movie. Mark Ruffalo, I feel like didn't really get that much to do. Didn't get an emotional moment that meant something, which makes the whole idea of a Thor and Hulk team up kind of pointless for me. But I like the film overall because of its humor, because of the sci-fi action. And can we just talk about the fact that there's a place called the Devil's Anus? And how amazingly hilarious that is? That Thor fell through something that was called the Devil's Anus? Kind of great. Weird and stupid, but great. Chuck, what did you think of Thor Ragnarok?
This is the first Marvel movie I didn't like.
Really?
Yeah. And I know I'm like the only one. I know this is trending at like 95 or 96% positive at Rotten Tomatoes, and maybe it caught me in the wrong mood. I'm not sure. But I don't mind the comedy. It just seemed as though it went on too long. It just, I get the joke. Let's move these things along. I think they're on the planet Sakaar far too long. Far too long.
I agree.
And I read later that the director allowed them to improvise much of their dialogue, and he estimated that up to 80% of the dialogue was improvised on this movie. And while that might make for a fun set, I think then what you see are, in certain scenes, actors trying to top themselves.
Yeah.
And the director not knowing when to stop and just letting this go. And the film just kind of loses form to me. That whole middle section's too long, and them going back to Asgard comes off as an afterthought. So I thought it was bloated. It was much too long. While I liked the nice little cameo from Doctor Strange, it served no purpose.
Yeah.
And it just seemed as though this was just a rambling, shambling type of film that, everyone there had a good time, and I wish I had been invited to the party. But sitting through it, I actually felt as though I was sitting through it, not enjoying it as much as I wanted to. And I'm getting tired of the third act battles in all of these superhero films. I don't need to see 55 or 60 buildings be destroyed. I can, 5 is fine. I don't need a 25-minute fight. 10, 15 minutes is fine. It just ends up becoming very, very exhausting. So, I don't know, maybe I'm just getting tired of the formula, but this one just didn't do it for me.
I'll give this to you. The last battle was weak, and all the stuff on Asgard, your brain goes, oh, I forgot that was happening. And I don't really know any of the characters in this world since they destroyed them all, so who really is here?
And Hela, we don't get enough background with her.
No.
I mean, obviously, there's a rich history with this character. And we get some cursory things. But she's too good of a character just to be brushed aside as she is.
And too good of an actress to be used on such
Correct.
a small part.
Yeah.
And I feel like the same can be said for Ruffalo, who has maybe 20 minutes of screen time?
Yeah, he's not there a lot. And the other thing, I mean, I usually love the things that happen after the credits. These two were flops.
What was the second one? Because I didn't stay for the second one.
Where Goldblum pops up.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Yeah, you didn't miss a thing.
Okay, fair enough. So we're mixed on it. I'm happy with the humor and happy with the action, but I just think, like you said, there's some sections that don't work. I would recommend it for teenagers, young adults.
Oh, like I say, I know everyone's loving it, and I could be just the curmudgeon in the audience.
I don't think you are in this case. I really don't. I really honestly think that there are the pacing issues that you spoke of. It's just hard for me to see that, given all the humor things that were thrown at me throughout the film that made me be like, oh, that was funny. That was funny too. Like the Rock Guy. The Rock Guy is another thing.
Rock Guy is good too.
Rock Guy was great.
And I guess the other thing is that I just wish they didn't make commercials or trailers. I mean, many of the best jokes they gave away.
Yeah.
And I've got to do a better job of avoiding them, I guess. I've avoided all the Star Wars stuff so far. So I got about another, month and a half to go to keep avoiding that. And
Last Jedi is coming out the day after my birthday, December 15th. So I am excited about that. The fourth and final film, I'm not even really going to bother telling you much about this film because I hated it.
Well, I don't know why you went to see it.
Because I had too much time to kill between. And that is Jigsaw. This is the 8th film in the Saw franchise. I do believe Tobin Bell comes back, but really that's the only actor's name you really need to know. It's what you think it's going to be. It's traps in a large facility, Jigsaw testing people, and the cops trying to figure out, wait, Jigsaw died 10 years ago. What in the world is going on? Who is doing these crimes? I'm going to give you guys a hint. Jigsaw has been dead since Saw 3. It's not Jigsaw. It's a copycat, but I'm not going to tell you who the copycat is because I'm a nice guy. But what I will tell you is, whatever twist you think you're going to see, you're going to figure it out before anybody else does. And you're going to be like, why did I spend the $750 or the $650 on this film? Because this film, while decently executed, gives us nothing new. And it's a paint-by-the-numbers story that shouldn't even make money. Don't go see it. Kill the franchise where it sits. Because I don't think I can sit through another one of these. It's that bad. Just don't do it.
You don't have to.
And I won't anymore. And after this one, I won't anymore because there's nothing that they could add to it to make me go, oh crap, I need to see this now. I'm done being faked out by these films.
Okay.
And this franchise. Don't go see Saw Legacy. It's pointless. Chuck, you've been catching up on The Flash. What have you thought this season so far?
I think it's the most fun season so far. We haven't gotten to a world or universe-ending problem yet. So the tone of the show isn't as heavy, and I like that. They've set up a nice little thing where they have to track down all these metahumans that were all on a bus at the wrong time and got splashed with whatever you get splashed with. It makes you superhuman.
Yeah.
So that's going to take up a good chunk of the season, as it seems though each episode they're going to track one down. I think they got 8 or 9 left to go. And they have squeezed in a much-loved DC character in the Elongated Man, Ralph Dibny. He showed up in the last episode, and he's going to be around for a while too, and that's going to be fun. So I like the lighthearted nature of this season. It kind of gives them a break, and I think gives us a break too. We can still go, wow, that was cool, but don't have to, have the weight of the universe on the characters' shoulders and all that.
Well, so we're 4 seasons in now. How far away do you think we are from Crisis on Infinite Earths?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm wondering how they're going to do that on the small screen. I'm trying to remember what the date on the newspaper is that they keep showing. I want to say it's like 2020. I don't know if they're going to try to match it up real time-wise or what.
Yeah.
But I guess, once the show loses popularity, that's how you end things.
Yeah.
So that, the ratings are going to dictate when they finally get to that storyline.
And I don't know, that may be another 6 seasons from now, based on the popularity of the characters. If you lose, like, the guy who plays Cisco or the girl who plays Caitlin, or...
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah. So I've liked the season quite a bit as well. Like you said, it's more fun. The stuff with Joe West and his subplot with his new wife-to-be, great. The fact that Barry and Iris are not always the perfect couple, great.
That's fun.
I guess the thing that I'm missing is more cleverness in the action department.
Oh. There was something that happened this week. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I was like, wow, that was really neat. Just hang on, watch this last episode. Wondering where Kid Flash is. Need more of him. I know where he is, but, getting him back, I'd like to get him back into the mix as well, and I'm sure he will. He'll show up.
I think what might be coming after this is Barry's grandson, maybe?
Bart?
Impulse? Yeah.
Bart?
Yeah, Bart.
Yeah. Well,
I feel like that's on the cards.
Hopefully not this season. Maybe next season.
Maybe.
And I think the danger of a show like that is when you have so many characters and situations to draw from. You know, you don't want this thing to get too top-heavy or overcrowded with characters and
I mean,
things of
Arrow's
that
done
nature.
that, and it's really sinking because of it.
So, you know, they've got to be careful with that. But yeah, I mean, fans want those characters as well. So you got to try and find a happy medium where that's concerned.
Well, my show recommendation for this week is going to be Star Trek Discovery. I found that show to be deeply engrossing and one of the more breakneck pace versions of Star Trek that I've ever seen, including the J.J. Abrams universe that's been created. I really like what the story writers and executive producers are doing with that.
So where does this come in the Star Trek timeline?
10 years before Kirk.
Okay, and wasn't there a Scott Bakula show?
Yeah, Enterprise.
And is that...
That was way, way before Kirk.
So
like
that's before...
30 years or so.
So that's before Discovery, and then after Discovery is the James Kirk stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha, okay.
Really good show, really good lead in Sonequa Martin Green. Love the fact of seeing Doug Jones, yet again, one of my favorite character actors who is basically in makeup 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Anthony Rapp, which leads into my next segment, which is Anthony Rapp of Star Trek Discovery made an allegation that Kevin Spacey assaulted him or harassed him when he was 14 and Spacey was 26. As a result of this, Spacey has been fully removed from House of Cards. House of Cards is ending with its 6th and final season with, how am I blanking on her name? Robin Wright, Claire taking over as President of the United States. Can I be really honest about something involving House of Cards? That's what I always wanted to happen for season 6. I wanted Kevin Spacey not to be there at all and let it just be her show for the 6th season and see where she would go as a Madam President. But now that they're ending it, I'm kind of pissed because we probably won't get to see much of that. And also we won't get resolution for all that Frank has done. I don't think. In the, 5 or so seasons House of Cards has run.
Well, I thought that they were going to cancel it after the 6th season anyway. From what I've read, I don't know if that's true or if they were just saying that to save a little face once they realized they had a big problem on their hands. It's going to be interesting to see how they write themselves out of this corner.
Yeah.
You know, and of course that's the least concern where this whole issue is concerned. Yeah, boy, this has all happened very, very quickly.
It's very much snowballed in ways that I couldn't even think about. Mm-hmm. Because there are multiple allegations now against Spacey, who has said he's seeking treatment and help. There seems like an allegation a day for Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, and Hollywood, at least these companies are sending a signal right now that this is not going to be tolerated anymore, which should never have been tolerated, obviously. But you have to admire the swift action that these certain companies are taking. Yeah,
I guess I just find the whole thing unsettling because why couldn't these people be believed earlier? Because some of these people wrote about this stuff 10, 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, the whole Kevin Spacey thing, as usual, thank God for animation, was predicted about a decade ago by none other than Seth MacFarlane when he made a joke, and it's a really small joke, which is just Stewie running across the screen screaming, "Help, I've just escaped Kevin Spacey's basement." Mm-hmm. So it's something that it appears that people in Hollywood have known about for some time and just accepted. Mm-hmm. Which in that case, why have you not been moving sooner? The one other thing I wanted to talk about is Annapurna and MGM are merging together, I think, to try and get Bond back. And I know who they want, or not who they want, who Craig wants as the lead for Bond 26. And that's a character that last appeared in Spectre, Monica Bellucci.
Oh, that'd be great. I love her.
So that's what I know about Bond 26, and I am excited for that film. But how are they going to keep this final Craig film fresh? That becomes my biggest question.
It's the challenge they have every time they make a Bond movie. I mean, you know, that's the problem. You know, it seems as though we're due for a good one because he makes a good one, a bad one, a good one, a bad one.
Yeah.
So we're due for a good one. So
we're due for a good one.
If we follow this pattern, then, you know, we're okay.
So is there anything next week that you're excited about seeing?
Murder on the Orient Express. I just started reading the Agatha Christie novels this summer, and I've read that one, and with the people involved with that, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Looks like we're going to have some good stuff every week for the foreseeable future. I know you don't want to see it, but the week after that is Justice League, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, you know, maybe you shouldn't see it.
Why?
Because you've already made up your mind.
I don't...
You've already made up your mind, and you do that. So maybe you shouldn't see it, and we'll pull a jigsaw that week, and I'll just talk about it.
Fair enough, and that will give me credence to decide whether or not I actually liked it or not when I do see it.
Well, even if I say I like it, you're not going to like it.
I mean, it really depends on what they show me, but...
You can't go in predisposed. If you're going to do this job, seriously, you can't go in predisposed.
I think the trailers predispose me, which, like you, I need to quit watching trailers and just need to avoid it.
No, I think without the trailer you were predisposed because you just don't like this director or these movies. And I don't like the director either, but...
Again, I'll ask this one. Where's your hope coming from?
I think I already told you this. The other character's coming in.
So then I have every right to give it a chance, especially if I see Wonder Woman.
But will you give it a chance? That's the question.
Yeah, I will. If
okay.
I'm going to watch Wonder Woman. If Wonder Woman's good, then I'll be...
Wait a second. You haven't seen Wonder Woman?
We did. Have we talked about Wonder Woman?
But you haven't seen Wonder Woman? Whether we've done a show or not, you haven't seen Wonder Woman?
Have not seen Wonder Woman.
Jesus Christ.
I know, right? It's horrible. But yeah, Wonder Woman, I need to see that. There's a bunch of movies that I still need to catch up on. I'm getting back in the game slowly, Chuck. You got to give me credit where credit's due. I got 4 movies in 1 week. Come on now. So, for next week, you're excited about Justice League?
No, Murder on the Orient Express.
Murder on the Orient Express and Murder on the Orient Express and then Justice League.
Then after that, we've got Coco, the latest from Pixar.
I'm excited for that.
Which, you know, I'm always open to Pixar. I mean, they usually do cool stuff. So.
When I was in 7th grade, I had a middle school teacher named Mrs. Carpenter, and she taught us about the Day of the Dead. So I'm deeply excited for that, and also Miss Jurgens in high school taught us about the Day of the Dead. So Coco has me very, very excited to see how Pixar will develop that world. There's also a horror movie coming out, and I don't know when, I can't remember, called Polaroid?
No, it's not. They pulled that.
They pulled that?
It's a Weinstein film.
Why the heck do they keep showing it in the theaters then? Because I saw it last night.
Okay, the theaters. They don't know what the hell they're doing.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's been pulled.
Okay, fair enough.
Although it looks like it's fun.
Yeah, it looks really great. It looks like a Final Destination type thing, but a little bit better. All right, well, you now know what to watch for next week, and we will be back next week with more movie reviews. That's Chuck Koplinski. You can find his work on thenewsgazette.com or theillinoistimes.com. And you can find my work at wheelchairwatcher.com. Until then, we will see you guys next week. Bye, guys.